Hello again and welcome to the High Road. I'm Dr. Drake Travis, and along with me is my wife, Dr. Serena Travis.
You know, it's hard to believe that we have come to the final episode of the first season. We've been through 2 sets, we've had amazing guests, and worked with amazing people along the way.
Oh yeah, this show is very special because we are going to look back at some of the highlights from the first season. Let's take a look. And we should try to laugh a bit. I mean, no sense crying about the disastrous Obamacare. I mean, here's a great sign. Obamacare, to insure the uninsured. First, we make the insured uninsured. Then we make the formerly insured pay more to become reinsured to insure the uninsured for free. That sums it all up. I mean, hey, here's welcome to the 21st century. You know, our phones are wireless, cooking is fireless, cars keyless, relationships meaningless, attitudes careless, babies fatherless, education valueless, country godless, Congress clueless, the president worthless, which leaves you and me speechless. Well, yeah, I finally know how to pray for the president. I saw this bumper sticker. It's a bumper. It reads, "Pray for Obama," Psalm 109:8. From Psalm 109:8, it says, "Let his days be few and brief, and let others step forward to replace him." Now, last we can honestly voice a biblical prayer for our president. In a recent poll, Obama came in as the 5th best president. Obama agrees. He says he's 5th best. So, number 1, it was a tie between George Washington and Ronald Reagan. 17 presidents came in a tie for 2nd. Another 23 came in a tie for 3rd. Coming in 4th was Jimmy Carter. And finally, at number 5 was President Obama. Okay. Hate speech. Something doesn't sit right with that phrase. It sounds like a misnomer. What is hate speech?
Oh, it's a big misnomer.
It's a okay, it is a misnomer.
Oh,
okay.
Absolutely. Because hate speech is being practically applied as anyone who has beliefs that don't agree with the PC movement. Specifically, if you believe something is wrong, not that you believe someone is bad, but just you believe something is wrong. Mm-hmm. For example, if you express your viewpoint and say, well, I think this is wrong. I don't agree with that. I believe that that marriage is between a man and a woman. Even though you're giving that person you're talking to respect, you're treating them fairly and nicely, then it's deemed to be hate speech simply because your beliefs don't match up with that person's beliefs. And we see people losing their jobs all across the country simply because they express their values and beliefs, not because they're calling names or attacking anyone in a personal way.
Wow, thank you, Brad.
What I love so much about Joey's story is he embodies everything we do at our program. Is he made that decision to grab hold of his life again. You know, you could, what a lot of other processes do is they look at the incident, they look at the deployment being bad, and not look at the decisions the guys make every day. So what we say is, hey, don't look at this incident that you experienced doesn't define your life. What really defines your circumstances is the choices you make every day, and you could choose differently. And we see these guys get challenged in that area, and then they choose differently, and they regain control of their life, and that's what Joey did. He saved his family.
In my heart, I knew I meant business for Jesus, and the preacher said, that's what counts. You know, if you're serious about this gospel story, the good news about Jesus. So I asked Jesus to come into my heart there at Chino State Prison back in 1976. Next thing you know, I'm born again in this prison. Next thing you know, I want to read God's Word, and it didn't matter where I was, the circumstances I was locked up. I was the happiest man on earth.
Well, at the Ascend Conference, you know, our goal, God told me 3 things. He said women would be saved, set free, and His name would be glorified.
Oh, right.
Those are the 3 things. But we really want to inspire, educate, and ignite women to go out into their homes, into their fields of work or their places that they are out and about.
So
and
this is just for
any
women,
okay. Any age. We've had Nancy Alcorn with Mercy Ministries. We had Michelle Bachman. We have an exciting lineup for this year. Deborah Pagay. We've had a lot of incredible women that just come out, encourage, influence. We have women that are in the entertainment industry. Devon Franklin's wife came out.
Oh, yeah.
Megan Good.
She's fantastic.
She's fantastic. Megan Good came out and spoke on the panel. we have had some incredible women to just encourage other women, no matter where you are in your sphere of life or, you know, the influence that you have, that you can go out and just encourage other women as well.
He was molested as a young boy, which led to great confusion and an identity crisis. Today, he's sharing about his journey from the brokenness of an 8-year-old boy to the wholeness of a healed man who is married and has children. Birthed out of his life story, he founded Genesis Counseling to help men struggling with sexual addiction recovery and homosexuality. We welcome Joe Dallas.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Oh, it's good to have you here. Joe, tell us about the journey from being traumatized as a young man to leaving the homosexual life to being a family man.
Well, I wish my story was unusual, but it's not. I'm one of many people who survived early molestation through no fault of my family's, my parents certainly. I was routinely molested by men in my neighborhood, and molestation always generates confusion of some sort. Plenty of homosexual people were never molested, but anyone who is molested will suffer some kind of confusion. That led to severe identity problems and misunderstandings about my own masculinity, which eventually led me into adult homosexuality. But I also was a Christian, and as a Christian, I couldn't, in good conscience, reconcile homosexuality and Christianity. In 1984, I finally reached a crisis point where I realized this is just not what God intended for me.
One of the huge challenges that a woman faces when she finds out about her husband's sexual
I'm sure it works for sons too, but I mean specifically husbands, right?
Yes, exactly. Is really setting boundaries. Is a challenge of learning how to set boundaries that don't enable him to continue, and for her to keep on getting hurt by that kind of behavior. And that's a huge challenge. She needs a lot of support to develop those kind of boundaries. Many times wives realize once there's a betrayal that she looked past behavior that she shouldn't have. She enabled his behavior in many ways, and maybe she was a little bit too afraid. There's a lot of reasons why she needs to look at herself and maybe change her outlook and really make some intentional choices.
Wow, that's great. I love that.
You guys, wow. You're stalwarts in this area. And thank you so much. And Joe and Renee, I mean, your story is an inspiration, and it really drives home the verse, love conquers all. I want to take this time to remember a personal hero of mine, and I'm sure I can say the same for Robert Davi. I'll bet this man was a personal hero for many of you. The reason he is the hero to so many is because he showed what it was to be a great leader. I'm talking about our 40th president, Ronald Reagan. It's been nearly 30 years since he left the presidency, and what Reagan did as a leader is still relevant today. From 1981 to 1989, Ronald Reagan led a great American comeback. He not only achieved what his critics said would be impossible, he made it seem easy. His leadership transformed a sputtering U.S. economy into a rocket of growth that led to a generation of prosperity. He restored a neglected U.S. military and its alliances, engineering the eventual defeat of the Soviet Empire without starting a war and without firing a shot. Through it all, he revived America's spirit, restored our hopes, and strengthened our faith. Reagan had a capability for adapting to changing realities. He understood growth. He had a sharp eye for danger and recognized the leader's duty to prepare and protect. What if there never was a Reagan? What would the world look like today? Communism in the Soviet Union may have never collapsed. The Berlin Wall may still be standing. Our military may well be next to nothing. Who knows where our economy would be? America was truly hurting under Jimmy Carter. Unemployment and inflation was at an all-time high. You had to wait in very long lines just to gas up your car. Reagan will be remembered as the president who reversed the decades-old flow of power to Washington. By dismantling some federal programs and reducing others, he forced the states and the cities to assume more responsibility for running their own show. I will always remember the footage of a Hungarian man who migrated to America with his family. They lined the drive to the Reagan Library as the motorcade for Reagan's funeral drove past. Tears welled up in his eyes as he pointed to the passing hearse and told his youngsters, "Children, that man is why we are free." 500 million others can say the same. Yes, he failed to break the Democrats' hold on Congress in his lifetime, but he did force the Democrat Party to move to the right. Now, forgive me if it's painful, but let's compare Obama's leadership skills against Ronald Reagan's. Reagan made it a point to be friends with the Democrat Speaker of the House, and they worked together to get things done for the American people. Obama, he doesn't even bother. Instead, he speaks down to the Republicans, and if he doesn't get his way, he scribbles out an executive order. He sides with any group as long as they have no honor or reverence for America's heritage. The economy is still bad, and some argue worse than the days of Jimmy Carter, given the added malaise since January '09. America is so divided right now. Many feel it's morphed into an aimless, irrelevant culture unto itself. You don't see the pride for America today that you saw with Reagan. Obama's talk doesn't work on me, but he's been using guilt to paralyze and block the USA's glorious destiny. We need Reagan leadership again to end the chaos that has been the presidency of Obama. Come on, America. Stop worshiping incompetent stupidity, contrarian and destructive behavior, non-productivity, false religion, and phoniness. Let's cut the corruption. Let's cut the nonsense.
All of these mountains of culture, and we've hit some of them. I mean, you talked about your music, arts, and entertainment, and and you talk about government. How do you view your influence in these mountains of culture where you operate?
Influence. All I know is that you have to have something to, I guess, make the medicine go down a little easier. You know, I mean, because when you consider liberals, somehow they made the poison go down easier. You know, and what do they use? They use, creative means. Music, comedy. All these things that are very available to us. And so these are things that we need to make use of. But I understand it though. As far as those who have this view that that's on the right, shall I say? We're just trying to make a living, work, pay our bills, take care of kids and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it's hard to make these promotions. Well, the left, that's what they do all day. But where's the guardians to counter their narrative?
Yeah.
There isn't much support for that, and that has to change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's talk about your book. You have one book which is for children.
I do.
What do you do when you lose your Lollabaloo?
That's right.
And Drake, I think, lost his Lollabaloo.
I did. I was looking in my sock drawer. I looked in my tool chest. I looked in the trunk of my car. I couldn't find my Lollabaloo.
So tell us about it.
Right. So what happens?
They're laughing at my pain.
Yes, we are.
So the Lollabaloo, now, and I defy you, you must try to say it without rhyming. It's a limerick-style book, and it's really to help kids know that there is a compass in there, without being too, topic-heavy or just to keep it really light. My idea was I really wanted kids to know how powerful they are. Right now, wherever they are, no matter what their circumstances in life are, because they're all different and they're not always beautiful the way we want them to be, but they always have a spiritual guide. They always have a compass. And the way it's described in the book is the Lollabaloo is the special light that shines inside of you.
Oh, cool.
And that it's always there, it's always a friend to you, and you're never going to be without it.
With this whole,
Stigma?
the stigma of the Italian-American in arts and entertainment, it's usually...
You seem to have made it work.
Yeah, how do you make that work? Because usually the stigma is negative.
Well, one of the reasons why I also then went and did the Sinatra album, because in an Italian family, there were two figures, the Pope and Sinatra, and not necessarily in that order.
Right.
And Sinatra, besides being, for me, the greatest singer of all time, he was the first superstar to come out against anti-Semitism and racial bigotry. Sinatra was a romancer. He sang.
Yeah.
You had a lot of Italians, Dean Martin, that did all of that, you know. So you do get typecast, you know, just like anyone else would get typecast, and you fight against that. So I remember Stella Adler telling me they're going to have you play the bad guy, but eventually, then when I did the good guy on NBC for 4 years, mainstream television, you know.
And now, now
and you're still
totally,
playing that.
And now you're the good guy, and you're singing, and you're.
Well, the music is really who I am.
What fantastic! I love
It
it.
seems like your soul is coming out. You can do both, but you seem like you're really in full bloom when you're singing. Yeah. What do you see how the media creates chaos or misperception?
Well, especially right now, while we're in a presidential election,
Yeah.
it's really, that topic is really coming to the surface because people are so mad that it seems like certain networks are favoring certain candidates, or even some of the candidates have come out or a lot of them have come out and blaming the media that you're giving so-and-so a lot of airtime and the reason my poll numbers are down and yada, yada. But it's like, no, it's true. I don't know about, well, maybe bias leads to chaos because there's definitely media bias, and I think that does lead to chaos. But, you know, from my perspective, where I work at the Christian Broadcasting Network, we have a bias and we're unashamed. We're conservative. We like to get both sides of the story, and we do a really good job at that. You know, Fox says we're fair and balanced and unafraid. Well, we're fair and balanced and Christian unashamed.
And what do you say to women who do want to quit? Like they say, I'm shutting the door. I'm giving up. I'm done.
Oh, I understand it. You know,
Yeah.
I get that. But you just can't. You know, you can't let the devil win. And I think that, you know, man, it'd be a great day for him, I think, if we all just shut the door and say we quit, because sometimes it would be easier. But I think the greater mystery for me was trying to find the hand of God in all of it and wanting to do something with my story. And, you know, to know that I've helped somebody along the way, that I've been comforted to comfort somebody else, it makes it worth it. You know, I don't think I'll fully be able to say that with a full, truthful heart until I see Jesus, but there are moments where I feel like it's worth it.
Before we're out of time and it's close, what sort of feedback from people, read your books, hear your music, what sort of feedback encourages you the most?
Oh my goodness, just to know that maybe I've helped give them a purpose not to want to give up, to fight through their own circumstances, whether it's divorce, broken marriage, health, whatever, just to know that we're sharpening each other, we're helping each other along the way. We all have a story. This is just mine. When I get on a platform at a women's conference, if I can speak into the heart of a woman that feels dead inside and tell her you can't give up, you got to keep fighting, fight for your spiritual life. You've been equipped, you're full armor, you've got it, you can do this. And to know and to hear that she's made choices because of maybe the choices I've made, then well done. I'm blessed.
There is, and I'm amazed at a couple of things, one of which is the amount of self-worth that is derived from social media. I look at that and I think about the amount of time that's spent doing that for something that is completely, it's illusionary, it's not real. And yet so much of our millennial culture identifies their self-worth, their future worth, and their self-esteem from what is posted, liked, and not liked. Wow. The second thing is, and really the genesis of why I decided personally to become an advocate for things like youth outreach, was Tyler Clementi. He was the Rutgers University student who committed suicide. And the reason he did was because someone videotaped him doing something, decided to post it up online. He was so mortified by that he decided to take his own life. And I was like, how is it?
Goodness gracious.
How could somebody, what is the power of a medium like film that causes a person to feel like their life has been so immortalized or epitomized by this one thing that they have to now remove themselves from the earth? I thought, what if we took that same medium and we actually use that for good? And I thought,
to inspire.
To inspire, educate, and entertain was essentially what we decided to do. Take this, spirit fingers.
I'm I'm Melissa Nunnally, and this is Global Connection, where we solve the world's problems in 3 minutes or less. Today's topic, DNA tracking to discover your ancestry. This is a highly advertised tool to help you see just exactly what is the makeup of your personal gene pool. Maxwell and Serena, do you think this is a successful way to learn about yourself, or is this just a gimmick?
Well, DNA can never be wrong. Unlike paper records, it can't be altered or forged. And it's amazing what we can learn through DNA. We can actually recover DNA from human remains from thousands of years ago and find their relatives who are living today.
Incredible. Well, I think this is a fascinating form of discovering your ancestry. I think this is really cool. I would just want to caution people, you just may be surprised at what you might find. I mean, you may find a long-lost sibling or cousin, or you just might find out your daddy isn't who he thought he was. Ooh.
Now, the interesting part of that is that long-lost relative has to also submit their DNA to that same site that you're using to make that perfect match.
Oh, yeah, true. And I would hope that they wouldn't mix up my DNA with somebody else's. I wonder if they've ever done that.
Well, if you had an identical twin, you could double-check the findings.
Oh, there you go. That'll solve the problem. Now, what about medical benefits to this DNA testing? They also advertise that they can help you find if you're a genetic carrier for diseases.
Well, there is some proponent to that. I mean, you have a genotype, but just because you have that genotype, the phenotype doesn't mean it's going to be that phenotype.
She's getting all scientific on this now.
My goodness, so I'll tell you what, you know. But it's okay. I mean, just because there's so many things that affect what happens to you. Your environment, your surroundings, your education, so many other things affect you. So I wouldn't want to be labeled according to my genes.
Right.
Well, I think you want to carefully assess the information that you receive from these companies, as well as the information you provide them. I mean, who is seeing all this personal information?
Yeah, ultimately, these sites actually want to use your DNA for research, but the good news is you actually have to give your approval before they do that. So before you provide your DNA to them, you actually have to sign that off. So that's good.
Top secret.
So bottom line, would you guys do it? Yes or no?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think I would try it.
So you want to find out your ancestry report?
Sure do.
Sounds like a plan. You know, my husband's 100-year-old grandfather did this last year and got his report. He already knew most of the results, but it was fun for him to share it with us, and it was fun for us to see. So I think I'd like to do it too.
Right on.
Well, thank you for watching. What about you? Do you have a DNA ancestry report? Did you learn some interesting information about yourself? We want to know about it. Send us an email to feedback@thehighroadshow.com.
Well, there you go. And with that, we say goodbye to our first season here on the High Road.
We can't wait to see you next season as we find the cure to the chaos in your life. We would love to get your feedback like, what do you think of Drake's hat? Or what would you like to see in future episodes? To contact us, please go to our website, thehighroadshow.com.
We can't wait to see you all next season. Bye-bye.